Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome to another episode of Luxury Specialist. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You're in the right place, whether you're an individual agent with a small boutique, whether you're with a large franchise, or you're a team leader or broker owner. You are going to be learning some cutting edge strategies today. And as always, feel free to listen to a previous a previous episode. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@luxury specialist. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified anytime we plan to go live or anytime we release a new educational video or podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael LaFido. I'm the founder of the Lux designation. We're literally celebrating our 7-year anniversary when we launched our course to our RE/MAX office down in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And I'm the author of the book, Luxury Listing Specialist, and our upcoming book we're about to announce called Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. If you want information on that, you want to get more information on how you could be perhaps a contributing author. We're going to have 20 contributing authors. It's going to be very exclusive. You can go to secretsoftoplluxuryagents.com. As always, if you guys have a question, you can always send me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. And we are excited. We have our upcoming training coming up in Mexico, in Cabo. It's luxurydesignation.com. Luxurydesignation.com is where our next event is. It's literally going to be in 13 days from the time of us doing this show. Again, we are going to be in Cabo, and you can go to luxurydesignation.com for more information. It's on the screen. And our next training after our training in Mexico will be in Houston, May 23rd. You can go to luxurydesignation.com/HAR. That stands for Houston Association Realtors, luxurydesignation.com/HAR. All right. So today's show, we're really excited about our guests today. We're going to be talking about ChatGPT. If you're not familiar with ChatGPT, you really should be familiar with it. And if you're not, that's okay. You don't have to hit the panic button. There's still plenty of time for you to familiarize yourself with ChatGPT. And I'm going to demonstrate that as well today for you. We're going to do a live demonstration on here as well. ChatGPT, it's not a fad. I think it's here to say we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT. And I'm excited because I have a special guest today. Again, we've talked about ChatGPT on a previous show, but it is the buzz. It's the rave. You're hearing about it. A lot of various groups, a lot of podcasters are talking about it. So don't get left behind. You're still early on. I guarantee you less than 5% of real estate agents, team leaders are using ChatGPT. And today's guest has a really cool resource for ChatGPT, and we're going to be talking about that as well. But without further ado, I want to bring on our guest. And as always, if you guys have questions for me, or if you have questions for my guest, you don't need to download anything. You could send me an email if you're watching a replay of this. But if you're watching the live telecast of this, you can type in your questions in the comments section. Without further ado, I want to bring on my guest, Shashank Shekhar. He is the CEO of
Insta Mortgage. Yes.
Yeah, Insta Mortgage. And you guys are licensed in, I think you told me previously, over 15 states, right?
We are in 28 states.
28 states, 28 states, over half of the country. And you can find out more about InstaMortgage by going to their website and tell everybody a little bit about you. And you can share the website here in a bit. And we have an exciting resource you're going to be sharing with people today. But first off, thank you for your time. And we're going to be talking about ChatGPT for agents, for realtors today. And tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Michael. As Michael mentioned, I am the founder and CEO of InstaMortgage. We are a tech-forward mortgage company licensed in 28 states, as I mentioned before. I am also a best-selling author. I'm a podcast host. I'm a keynote speaker, and I have done a lot of things with technology, including creating mortgage industry's world's first digital human, which is also an AI tool. I recently got liking to ChatGPT, for which I've written a couple of books. We'll talk about that as a resource, as a free resource for you guys, where to find that and download it. But that's instamortgage.com. That's our website. So if you're in any of the 28 states we're licensed in, if there's anything we can do to help you on that side, of course, we would love to. But today I come as a resource to kind of teach you a little bit more about ChatGPT, whether you've heard it or not. My goal is that by the time we are done with it, you have a fair bit of understanding of not just what ChatGPT is, but how it can help your business.
That's awesome. So what is ChatGPT and how can it help your business? That's going to be the focus of today's show. And we're going to have some great resources. So make sure you stick around to the end and we'll reveal those resources for you. Basically a free digital ebook on best practices for ChatGPT. It's absolutely free thanks to our guest today. Shashank has written a lot of books, and this is one of them. And you're on Twitter as well. And what's your Twitter handle? Or you had a Twitter handle, or maybe it was Instagram that I laughed at because it was one of my favorite movies of all time.
It is. It's my Instagram handle, Shashank.redemption. My podcast is called Shashank Redemption as well, and so is my personal website, shashankredemption.com. So you're right. I mean, I kind of played along with the movie name, since every time I mention my name, people would always be like, "Oh, have you heard of Shawshank Redemption?" And of course, I have. I think I was in college when one of my friends said, "Hey, have you heard of that movie?" And I was like, "Oh no, they riffed off on my name and created this gigantic hit."
Yeah,
but
that's
a great
great,
movie.
by the way.
And glad to be able to use that brand name with the likeness to the name. So
Smart,
Shashank,
by the way, very, very smart. Don't think like a lender, think like a marketer. Don't think like a
Yes.
real estate agent, think like a marketer, is something that I teach in our books, and I'm glad that you do as well. So yeah, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit, if you would, about ChatGPT at a very basic level. And then I'm sure I'm going to have questions, but then talk about some of the more advanced, what you're seeing, how you're seeing agents, team leaders, and maybe even people in your industry, how they're using ChatGPT.
Yeah, let's start with some background, because we might have audience from different expertise level with ChatGPT. Some might have just heard of the name. Some might have tried it. Some might be advanced already, and they're like, okay, whatever Shashank is teaching us, it's I've done it and been there and everything, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get everyone along. Feel free to ask questions on anything that you want to. But ChatGPT is first of all, it's built on, it's an artificial intelligence tool. It's an AI tool, and we throw the word AI quite loosely these days, especially in the last 2-3 years. It's like everything is AI powered, and it usually is not. So first, I wanted to explain what artificial intelligence is and what not. So I think artificial intelligence for the first time really got prominence and worldwide headlines when the machine Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov in chess. I mean, he was not just a world champion at that time; he was almost thought of being unbeatable, like one of the greatest, like Bobby Fischer was. And nobody ever thought a machine could beat him, let alone a human. And of course, Deep Blue did beat him, first on a one-off game and then an entire series. And that was probably the first time we heard of like a machine doing something better than a human. And that's artificial intelligence. When a machine can make decisions, when a machine can recognize text, when a machine can recognize speech, that's artificial intelligence. Everything else, if you're just teaching it to do something and it does it, That's not artificial intelligence. You're just teaching it, it's able to do that. But if it's able to learn from all that teaching, like a student does in high school, and then goes to the test and is able to take the test, even if the questions are slightly different than what was taught in the textbook, the student is able to figure out and able to do that. That's artificial intelligence. And Chat GPT is considered the most advanced artificially intelligent platform there is, other than specialty products like Deep Blue, or things that were designed just for one purpose, which is chess or Go or whatever that was. Now, this was started in 2005 by a person called Sam Altman, one of the most well-known person in Silicon Valley and in the tech world. Elon Musk gave initial funding of $100 million to a company called OpenAI that has started building ChatGPT. So what ChatGPT really does is that it says it has 175 billion parameters on which it can respond to, meaning it's probably the most knowledgeable thing, because it's not a human, on the planet, and it has ever been. So over the last 15, 16 years, it has been fed all the books and all the knowledge and all the information there is on the planet, and it has ever been created. And now it's at a point where it can figure things out on its own. It can take all that information, it can take all that knowledge, and be able to give smart answers, be able to make decisions for you, be able to give responses that it hasn't even been taught, because it has become artificially intelligent now. Now, to the point, I'll tell you how these learnings work. This works through a process called machine learning. So, if you want a machine to know or recognize a cat, for example, what you do is that you feed it hundreds and thousands of pictures of cat, and it starts to figure out the pattern that it has 4 legs, it has whiskers, it's small, all that stuff. And then you feed tens of thousands of pictures that looks like a cat, but it's not actually a cat, maybe a small animal or a small lion or whatever. And after a point of time, the machine learns by itself. Now it's able to figure out which one is a cat and which one is not a cat. That's just one example. Imagine how much time it takes to teach it one thing, one skill. And ChatGPT has 175 billion parameters on which it can comment. So the best thing about it is that it's based on NLP, not neuro-linguistic programming, but natural language processing, which means it can talk like a human. It chats like a human, like the way Michael and I are talking right now, or by the way you talk to your friends, the way you text them back and forth. That's how ChatGPT talks, which means you need to have zero engineering skills, zero coding skills, zero tech skills. You work it like you're texting someone, and you can text back and forth. That's a huge difference between Google and ChatGPT, is that Google answers a question one time. You ask it a question, it'll answer it. Now you have to start the question all over again. Plus, Google never answers the question. Google just directs you to a website that answers the question.
Yeah,
ChatGPT answers the question by itself, and you can interact with the question. You can ask it a question, it gives you a response. You can ask a follow-up question, and you can keep doing it all day long, just the way you text back and forth with your friends. So those are some of the, hopefully that explains what ChatGPT is.
Yeah, no, that's a great explanation of what ChatGPT is. For those of you just tuning in or watching our live stream here, Michael LaFido here. We have the CEO of InstaMortgage, and we are talking about ChatGPT and what it is, and we're going to go into a little bit more advanced on how agents can utilize it. For those that are watching on Instagram, please go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. You can ask your questions there. And for those that are watching a replay of this, you can always send me an email, Michael at Marketing Luxury Group, Michael at Marketing Luxury Group. We have a free gift at the end, so make sure you stick around to the end for everybody. You're not going to want to miss this free ebook. I'm just giving you a little hint. It's a free ebook, everything you want to know about ChatGPT, but you got to stick around to the end. So that is some really good information, some background on that. And again, before we go into further on ChatGPT, again, just a reminder, guys, we are producing these podcasts to benefit you. But if you have a special guest that you'd like to talk about a topic that maybe we haven't covered, please shoot me a note. This is all about raising the bar for the industry. We launched this podcast. We're literally on episode 236, I believe. We're on 236 or 238.
That's amazing.
And so we launched this 6 years ago, and we launched our course 7 years ago. So it's all about raising the bar. So if you have something that you'd like us to talk about, but we're talking about ChatGPT today, and I'd love to maybe even how consumers are using it. So how are you seeing? I mean, it's not just a real estate
Yeah.
artificial intelligence. You're seeing schools, you're seeing professors, you're seeing lenders, you're seeing homeowners or sellers using ChatGPT. It's much more than just property descriptions, but we're going to go into that next. So please, if you would, talk about maybe what you're seeing out there. And before we do that, I had someone just ask me about our book. Again, our next book is called Secrets of Top Luxury Agents, Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. Literally, I got an image on the screen right now. You can send me a note. You can go to Secrets of Top Luxury Agents right now. You see the cover of the book there. We're excited about it. It's going to be very exclusive. 20 top global agents are going to be contributing a chapter in each book. If that's something that you're interested in, go to Secrets of Top Luxury Agents. Our website isn't even up yet, but you'll leave your information. We'll get back to you on more information. That's just Secrets of Top Luxury Agents to find out more information about this book. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about how other people are utilizing. What industries are you seeing? If you had to guess the top 5 industries that are using ChatGPT, Shashank, what do you think, and what are those industries? Not holding you to it, but what are you seeing right now?
Sure, and let's talk about how quickly it has caught up. I mean, why are people saying that this is the best thing that has happened since iPhone or internet, depending on who you're listening to? But and and the buzz is shown in the number of users. Like Netflix took about 3.5 years to get to 100 million users. Twitter was much faster at about 2 years. Facebook did it at 10 months. Spotify at 5. Instagram was 2.5 months. So, I mean, as the technologies have come, the adoption has been much faster. But ChatGPT took 5 days to get to 100 million users.
Wow.
Yeah. So
5 days. Let me
5 days.
repeat that. So go through that again. That's astonishing. So go through the history to get to 5 million. You said 5 million.
To get to 1 million.
1 million.
Yeah.
I might have misunderstood you.
Yeah.
So to 1 million users, let's go through the history. How many? Netflix took how long?
Netflix took 3.5 years.
3.5 years to get to 1 million.
Twitter took 2 years to get to 1 million users.
Twitter, okay.
Spotify took 5 months.
5 months. Spotify.
Instagram, 2.5 months.
Instagram, 2.5 months to get to 1 million users.
And ChatGPT took 5 days.
ChatGPT took 5 days. 5 days to get to 1 million users. So again, astonishing, and it's growing. Again, I would say less than 5% of the real estate agent industry is using or even familiar with ChatGPT, and if they are, it's at a very top level surface. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise the bar for team leaders. You're listening to Michael LaFido. This is another episode of Luxury Specials podcast and our live stream here. And so go ahead. I interrupted you, but those statistics were alarming, and I really wanted, in a good way, they're just breathtaking. I just can't believe 5 days. So go ahead.
Yeah, and the reason why I think it has become so popular is as you rightly mentioned, it's not just being used by lenders, it's not just being used by real estate agents. Even if you're just a parent, just a student, just anything really, doing practically any kind of work, you could be a doctor, you could be a programmer, whatever you are, there's probably a need for ChatGPT. ChatGPT passed Wharton's MBA exam. ChatGPT passed LSAT exam. ChatGPT passed MCAT exams. So that's what I'm saying. It's the most intelligent thing that has ever been built. It's not about one specific field. It doesn't do just good marketing. It doesn't do just good programming or coding. You can search for practically any book summary, practically any book. I have tried even some of the books that are not that popular. My 9-year-old is reading the entire series of Rick Riordan, and she was able to summarize every single book, not just summarize it, but ask very specific questions about those books. And I checked with her if it answered it correctly, and it did. But you can do fun things with it. You can plan your kid's birthday party. You can plan your vacation. I mean, I played with it saying, what if I'm going from London to Paris for a day, plan my itinerary around it? It did. And then I asked, hey, but I've already visited Eiffel Tower. Can you exclude that and then redo my entire planning? It did. Then I said,
Wow.
how much is the cost for the entire thing? It built the entire cost. But I said, hey, that's a little too expensive. Can you build a little cheaper plan for me? And you can keep doing it. And that's what I'm
Wow.
saying. You can do a ton of fun things with it. My cousin wrote a Valentine's Day poem for his wife, and he didn't tell her tell her that ChatGPT wrote it, and she was super impressed. That, oh, when did you become so romantic? But what I'm saying is that it's and you're right. Academia, it's a lot of use for it, which is both good and bad, because a lot of his students are using ChatGPT now to write essays, and it can write better essays than most students can. And so the NYT actually had a full as a headline on this article a couple of weeks back, that the entire academia is scrambling to form alternative tests for students. Like, instead of giving them essays to write in their homes and dorms, they're saying we will do more in-class tests and more oral tests and more handwritten tests, so that they don't just copy paste from ChatGPT. So there's good and bad, because you
Yeah.
can learn a lot. It probably knows more than some of your professors and teachers, but also it opens up a lot of I shouldn't say I maybe should say cheating, because you are not doing the homework. ChatGPT is doing it for you. So
Yeah,
uh,
no, you're absolutely right. So this is an example of ChatGPT for those of you. I think most people are visual by nature. So literally, um, we can uh, we can type something in here. So we can type something in there. What are the top? What I'm going to type this in here. What are the top 5 trends people are looking for when building a new home? What are the 5 top trends when people are building a new home today in 2023? Okay, and then literally, boom, like in real time. You guys are seeing this in real time. I know you probably can't read it, but it's listing 5 trends. So number 1, smart home technology. Number 2, energy efficiency. Number 3, open floor plans. Number 4, multifunctional spaces. And number 5, outdoor living spaces. So literally, this is how smart ChatGPT is. And I can regenerate the response. I could regenerate the response. Um, uh, what are the top five in colder climates like Chicago, and let's see what it says. All right, now
and
it's asking. Now I didn't ask a good enough question, so I'll have to re-ask again. So now it's talking about what are the top 5 things to do when visiting Chicago, right? So it says visit the museums, go ice skating, catch a show, warm up, attend a sports event. So my point is, whether it be, and you brought up a good point, whether it be visiting, like we're going to Cabo next in about a week, my family and I, so I could type in, hey, we're going to be staying in this area. What are the
sure.
top five things to do? And you talked about planning a vacation with cost. So really endless, but I would just wanted to show in real time kind of what ChatGPT looks like for some people that have never tried it out. There's a free version, and then there's an advanced pro version, if you will, and that there's a cost for that, but there's a free version as well. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and that is correct. And the crazy thing is that the free version has all the features that the paid version has. The only couple of differences is the fact that on a paid version you have almost no downtime because of the traffic to the site. It's not always up. So if you're on the free version, you might be doing something and it says it had reached its capacity. It won't be able to do anything. So if you don't have anything super urgent to do all the time, you can use the free version all the time. And the only second thing I guess the paid version has is that ChatGPT 4, that's a new version of ChatGPT launched 2 days back, and you get access to it, which is way smarter than the 3.5 version. But again, for a day-to-day thing, you can use the free version, and it has all the features, it has all the tools. If you don't mind a little bit of a downtime, you don't have to pay for it. But even if you have to, it's $20 a month. It's nothing super crazy. And I can tell you, it's probably the best $20 you can spend on a tech in today's world. So I would encourage that you take a paid account, but test it out the free account. If you haven't used it before, there's no reason for you to pay on day one. Test out with a free account, and as Michael was showing you everything that he is doing now can be done on a free account as well.
Yeah, so even teachers, like, my wife's a teacher. I mean, she could create ideas and various things for her students, leading discussions, leading roundtable, discussions. So you're absolutely right. So let's get into a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your book. I want to
Sure.
talk about that because we're limited in 30 to 45 minutes on a podcast, but let's talk a little bit about your book, if you wouldn't mind sharing. So so before we go into the title and all that good stuff, why don't we first talk about your book and specifically why an agent would want to find out more information about it?
Yeah. So what I've done is that it's not just a theory, because I mean it doesn't just talk about what is ChatGPT, and we talked about a few of those things here in the podcast as well. You need to understand the background, of course. You need to understand what artificial intelligence is, what ChatGPT is, how do you chat. So I have screenshots around where you can get started. Maybe it's completely brand new. Maybe you've heard about it but never logged into chat.openai.com where ChatGPT resides. So the first few pages goes into the basics, but then I go really hardcore into the real day-to-day use that a real estate agent can make out of ChatGPT, like real life cases that I'm working with real estate agents in helping them out, or I'm working with lenders with helping them out and using ChatGPT. So I have 5 top use cases that I've included in the book. I could have written, I don't know, a 200-page book and would have used multiple use cases. But the good thing about the book is that I've given all the prompts. So, which means you don't have to think about it. The prompts are already written with this screenshot of the response that ChatGPT gave. And understand those responses are dynamic. So it's not always that the same question will always get you the same response. And that's the beauty of ChatGPT, because somebody asked me the other day saying that, oh, if I type a question and somebody gets an answer, will everybody get the same answer and everybody is creating the same content? That's not the case. It actually gives you, so you can ask a question like, for example, in my book, one of the examples that I've included, and Michael was actually trying something very similar. And I'm trying to go here. So what I did was I asked ChatGPT to create me a social media marketing calendar for a real estate agent. I think I said Naples, Florida, or one of the markets, for a month, not for a day, not for a week, for the month. And literally, my ebook has 30 days plan on what day you should be posting what and in what form. And then I asked ChatGPT as a follow-up question saying, hey, you said on 23rd of March, I should be posting a video about how to improve your credit um, through something. And I don't remember what the question was. And I said, that's great, but I don't know how to script a video. Can you write me a script for that video that you wanted me to create? And it does that. Then I go and follow up saying, that's too long. Can you dial it down to 3 minutes? It does that. Then I was like, okay, that sounds a little boring. Can you add a touch of humor to it? And it did. And then I was like, that's great, but I have a Spanish clients. Can you do the same script in Spanish? And it did. What I'm saying is that the the limitation of ChatGPT is limited just by your imagination. That's how smart it is. So can it answer the question? The more important question is, can you ask the right question? Because if you are going to ask the right question, 99 out of 100 times it will respond. Now, it had some limitations that I wanted to point out, and I mentioned that in the book as well. One is that a lot of data has not been updated since the end of 2021. The the people behind the ChatGPT, they're still trying to make sure that it's more robust. And so instead of trying to feed it new information, it's trying to make all the information it has is still accurate and gives right answer. Two, it does not give sensitive or offensive answers, or at least it tries not to, or dangerous. For example, this is extreme, but it won't tell you how to make a bomb. It won't give you information that it might think it's racist, or it's against a certain culture or a certain belief or something. So sometimes even you think that you don't have intention of asking a dangerous or a sensitive information. If ChatGPT thinks that that's what the answer might be, it might not give you an answer.
That's good to know. There is a little political bias with ChatGPT that's come out. That people have asked certain things about current president, past president, and negative versus positive. But we're not going to talk politics on here. but this book, let's get back to the book, ChatGPT for Realtors. I have it on the screen. That is the URL. If you're interested in the free download, it's going to be released soon. ChatGPT for realtors.com. Do you have the date, the release date on this?
We should be out by next Friday. The book is already done. It's just getting designed, so it should be out anytime.
Perfect. So
Anytime
by the
soon. So you
time
don't have to
by
wait
the
too long.
time this podcast is up on iTunes and Spotify, you guys will be able to download it. Go to chatgptforrealtors.com, chatgptforrealtors.com. So great information there. What other things that I should be asking you about ChatGPT, or what else would you like to discuss when it's specifically for agents, team leaders, or broker owners?
Yeah, so so social media is one of the things. What it can do is that it can write very powerful emails. So one is just writing emails like the way you and I do all the time. But ChatGPT understands persuasive frameworks. So there are frameworks for persuasions, meaning if you write a certain thing in a certain way, chances of people getting persuaded by what you're asking them to do is higher than if you were to just write your own emails. So if you are, for example, trying to influence a potential seller to list a property with you, you can just write your own email, or you can follow some of the persuasive frameworks. For example, I have given in the book an example where I'm trying to find that here. But I said,
I'd love to know how to write a persuasive email or text message to persuade a seller that this is a great deal. This is in this economy, they're probably not going to see as good of an offer.
yeah, so let's talk about listing for a while, because I know we only have a few minutes here, but let's drill down on that. So some of the things that it can do for your listing, one is first write an email in a persuasive way, so not just any other way. It actually follows a certain framework that's defined over decades that it works better to probably get you a listing appointment for that. Second, what it can do is that
So before we go into these lists, how many are we going to be going over?
just two.
Okay, so on number one, I want to interrupt you real quick. How would you write that? Like, if I were typing in ChatGPT, what do you use the word persuasive? In other words, write me an email to a potential seller that is unsure if the market's great. It should be in a persuasive manner. Like, talk to me as if I'm ChatGPT right now.
Sure, of course. So I'm pulling up the exact question here that I asked. So I asked it saying that I have a potential seller. So here's the anatomy of asking right questions. You start with a persona, because I want to break this down for our audience here. You
Please.
start with a persona, meaning who am I, or who I want to impersonate. So I'm an FBI agent that wants to know this. I am a best-selling author that wants to know this. I'm a real estate agent. So you need to tell ChatGPT who you are asking, or you are asking as who. So say I'm a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's your first point. Second, you are saying, what is it that you want to do? So I want to influence a potential seller to list the property with me. And so it needs to understand who you are and what you're asking and give it context. So they are thinking of selling a home, and I want to influence them to list the property with me. And then you give very specific examples saying, what is the form that you wanted? Do you want to write an article about it? Do you want to produce a video about it? Do you want to write an email about it? So what is the output that you want? What's the form of output? And then say, write an email using one of the persuasive frameworks to help me get that listing, or help me get that listing appointment. A question like that will work so much better than saying, tell me what are the sellers looking for when they are looking for a listing agent, or something like that.
Sure.
That's a very generic question versus very specific. So if you follow that pattern of who am I trying to influence to do what, and what is the output format, because a text, it will look very different than an email, than a video script, than an article, or than a social media.
Great point. And you could be specific, 3,000 words or less, 2,000 words or less, 5 paragraphs.
Absolutely. And that's another thing, that it can figure out the length of the content. It can figure out the tone of the content. Maybe you want to be slightly cocky. Maybe you are a brand name in the local market, and you're like, hey, I don't want it to sound casual. I want it to sound authoritative, because I'm the number two agent in the market, and I want that email to kind of show my tone that, hey, I'm coming from a position of authority in this, that I'm the best suited to do this for you. Or you're newer and you want to sound it casual and friendly and saying, hey, I'm not that experienced or whatever, but this is what I can do. So
Mhm.
it can figure out the tone, it can figure out the length, it can figure out the output. Once you do all of that, then it'll produce the content for you. And as Michael was showing before, you can do regenerate. You can say, hey, I like the first two paragraphs of this. Can you rewrite the next two paragraphs? And it'll just keep the first two the way it is and just write the next two paragraphs differently. And you can keep trying it. It does response again and says, I still don't like the fourth paragraph. Can you rewrite that? Can
Yeah.
you make that a little bit more authoritative? Can you make that maybe end on a tone of humor or something?
Yeah.
It'll do all of that stuff for you.
Yeah, great points. I'm a big DISC personality guy, DISC, and most real estate agents, certain brands, Keller Williams and others, really push DISC. Do you know this answer? And if not, that's okay. But I'm curious if you can talk to ChatGPT in personality types. So in other words, I'm a real estate agent in Chicagoland. Uh, I'm looking for you to write a three sentence or three paragraph to a seller that is a high D. They're a driver, and we need to persuade them to whatever it might be. Does it take into account DISC, DISC personality? Is that something you're familiar with?
I am familiar with DISC, and you'll be surprised. I just typed that question, and I was like, because I have not tested that question, and I said, it says, I understand that you are high D on a DISC assessment, which means you value results and are highly driven. As a fellow high D, I appreciate your focus on achieving your goals and getting things done efficiently. So it totally understands the DISC profile, understands exactly what a high D means, and wrote me an email. So while you were asking that question, I tested it.
All right, perfect. So in that case, the sellers probably don't know you're talking to them in a way that they're a D or an I or a S or C. So you'd want to modify things.
Absolutely.
And the other aspect as real estate agents is fair housing. There's certain words and things you can't say that perhaps ChatGPT isn't aware of. Now you could say make it fair housing compliant, but again, it's your rear end that's on the line. So always check to make sure. And if you're not sure on any of this, check with your broker. I got a comment from the real estate therapist, Larry Shackman, says when he uses ChatGPT, he will say things like, write me a 100-word email with 3 compelling bullet points and the point he wants to cover. Thanks for sharing that, Larry, on best practice there. So that was number one. And there was a second point that you wanted to talk about, and I want you to go over that, please.
Yeah, and I'll quickly touch upon what you said. It's a very valid point. I wouldn't just copy paste everything it does. I would still want to be the editor of anything that ChatGPT produces. So, because you're right, it may not understand all fair housing things. Sometimes it breaks it down to kind of dumb it down, but there are certain words that you don't want in there. Like you don't want to tell the seller saying, as a fellow high D, is because you don't want them to know that you already know that they are high D. So
Right,
stuff like that, yes. Yeah. So use it wisely, of course. Be a good editor. I put that in the ebook as well, is that don't just copy paste the things that it's saying, but it's a great start. It does anything between 50 to 90% of the work. So let's get back to that listing question. So it got you an email in a very persuasive way to maybe get them to list the property, or at least get you the listing appointment. Now, when you get to the listing appointment, it can create an entire marketing plan for you before you go to the appointment, and not just your regular online, offline. And I've given that example in the ebook as well. You can ask it tons of out of the box marketing ideas. So of course, so when I give an example in the book, said, give me 5 online, 5 offline, and 5 completely out of the box ideas on how should I mark a luxury, how should I list or how should I market a luxury real estate. And I gave an example of something in Ann Arbor in a gated community in Michigan, and said, if I was a listing agent on that and going for a listing appointment, can I carry a marketing plan and say, hey, a lot of this is, some of this marketing plan is generated by artificial intelligence, which hopefully in a luxury market will make you look better instead of worse. They say, wow, you're using AI for your marketing. That's so cool. I do not hear that from a lot of listing agents.
It's a great point. Differentiate. That's a key. 1.6 million realtors out there. Everybody knows a real estate agent. What are you doing to differentiate yourself? Again, on the screen here for anybody watching the live digital version, we have Shashank, who is the CEO of Insta Mortgage. Again, you can get a copy of the book that you see on the screen, Chat GPT for Realtors. It's about to be released. It will be released by the time this podcast is live on iTunes. Again, Chat GPT for Realtors. Anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap things up?
Yeah, the last thing on listing is just the listing description. It may sound very basic, but especially on luxury real estate, because of high-end amenities, it takes special words. Like, this is not your regular $200,000 property. And sorry if in your market 200,000 is luxury, because there could be some markets there
Sure,
that could be
sure.
the case. But whatever the price range is, when we are listing, especially luxury real estate, we need to carefully choose the words, because those words have power in terms of showing to potential buyers how luxury is this, and using the right words is really important. And again, I'm not saying you have to copy paste what ChatGPT gives you, but it can do, I mean, it can write the description for you. It can do the 80-90% of the work. Then you can go back and edit it and choose the right words, or you can ask ChatGPT to use different words. When ChatGPT 4 was launched, live streamed 2 days back, they gave it a full article and said, summarize it, but by only using words with S. It summarized the entire article. Every single word started with the letter S. So if
Wow.
it can do that, and then somebody in the audience said, oh, S is easy, can you try Q? Imagine, I mean, I can't write a sentence with every word starting with the letter Q, but it summarized the entire article with every word starting with the letter Q. So if it can do that, you can understand what kind of vocabulary and thesaurus and all of that combined it has. So if you are struggling with using the right luxury words for your listing, I mean, take the help from ChatGPT. It will write very high-end listing descriptions for you. So I think that's a 3-step listing process. I mean, that alone is worth, I don't know how much for you, but that's just one of the things that.
Yeah, that is huge. I mean, one of the things that we get asked a lot, right? Common questions we get asked when we're doing our trainings in person or virtual or our podcast is just that, hey, I got that listing appointment. What if they hire me? I'm not familiar with the Sub-Zero or the Wolf or the Miele, dishwasher, whatever it is. How do I articulate? How do I highlight? How do I put special features? How do I write a description? So great point right there. Rob asked a great question. How did you say we get that book? Again, to get a copy of ChatGPT for Realtors, Rob, you're going to go to chatgptforrealtors.com, chatgptforrealtors.com. Leave your information, join the wait list. It will be released by end of March at the latest. And those of you that are watching or listening to a replay of this in April or later of 2023, just go to ChatGPT for Realtors and you can get a free download of the digital book. Some great information here. I appreciate your time. Again, Insta Mortgage, you'll see it on the screen here, instamortgage.com. And we have the CEO of Insta Mortgage on this show. Appreciate your time today. Would there be anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think this was.
What's the best way for people to be in contact with you? Social media. Again, say those one more time.
Yes, I'm everywhere on social media. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm at shashank.redemption. So that's just like the movie Shawshank, but there is no W in my first name. But that's probably an easy handle for you to reach out to me. But I'm at shashank@instamortgage.com if you want to reach it. Even on our website, instamortgage.com, if you just reach to the common email, hello@instamortgage.com, and ask them to connect you with me, I'm here to help you with anything I can.
Well, thank you so much. You were a wealth of knowledge, great resource today. When we have various guests on, we're always trying to bring value to our audience. And we always say, hey, if you have something of value that they can download a free report, in this case, a free digital book, we do. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. All right, I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Just a couple simple reminders. If you guys are getting value from these, please leave us a like, Leave us a review. If you have our book, Luxury Listing Special, same thing. Leave us a review if we've earned a 5-star review. And as always, keep raising the bar for whatever it is you do and prove others wrong. Literally, yesterday, I had a medical procedure done, and I was talking to the nurse. She's going back to be a doctor. And I talked to her about my motto, prove them wrong. She got teary-eyed. We both got teary-eyed as I was, sitting, waiting to be released from this procedure. And I love proving others wrong, whether you be white, black, tall, short, newer agent, seasoned veteran with a small brokerage, newer brokerage, female, male, straight, part of the LGBT community. I love proving others wrong. And remember, love is love. Coexist is coexist, and diversity of opinion is a good thing. Okay, you should never let someone's political party determine whether you're friends with them or not. Over the last 3 years, we've had a lot of people stop talking to others. It's amazing how much we have in common if we just turn off the news and communicate with our neighbor. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Until next time, prove others wrong and keep raising the bar in the industry. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Make it a great day and prove others wrong. Till next time, I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Take care.